Hey nerds, what's up? Today I want to talk about the mentor or sage trope in fantasy fiction. This one seems to be way less controversial than either the chosen one or the Mary Sue trope, and in general seems to create some of the most beloved characters in our fantasy franchises. I know for me personally, mentors like Dumbledore, Gandalf, Kelsier, Jasna, Obi-Wan, Moraine, Lan were always in my top 5 favorite characters. Let's get into it. The mentor is one of those tropes that is as old as time and was even formally entered into officiality in Joseph Campbell's seminal work in 1949 titled The Hero with a Thousand Faces, which is the book we still often lean on for our Western ideas of the hero's journey. Mentors are interesting because many of the very popular ones follow a very similar blueprint, the old wise guy. Whether or not the mentor character fits that specific stereotype, I do find there are other things that relate mentors, particularly that mentors tend to be static, or in other words, they don't undergo a lot of character growth or change during their time in the work. They are already fully formed and are really there to inspire or help character growth in the mentee. As such, mentors often die. Now, I know there's a lot of jokes about this in fantasy about how characters always have dead parents and dead mentors. I think this is even more common in YA and middle grade when our protagonists tend to be younger. And although I also always wondered about this when I was younger and kind of made fun of it, as I've grown older, I realize why it's so necessary for a lot of mentor characters or parents to disappear. The idea being is if our mentors were with our characters, then our characters might not need to grow or do the things they're doing. The mentor would just take care of it, or the mentor would help them. So we need our main character to be solitary, to have an alone moment, to grow and do a hard thing that is hard specifically because they don't know enough or are not old enough or don't have that mentor to help them anymore. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, makes it really stupid that sometimes I still don't see it coming when a mentor dies. Like, I should know by now, right? That they're gonna have to disappear. I'm thinking specifically of a specific Cosmere book where I was so shocked that a character died, but I really shouldn't have been. I won't say any more for spoiler reasons, but it's a Brandon Sanderson book, which I don't think gives anything away. There's a million. The real question I have when I talk about mentors is, why are they so universally beloved? It seems to me that almost any character archetype or trope, we will have some pushback about it being overdone or not necessary, but I really don't see that when it comes to the mentor trope. I don't see that sort of discussion. I also find it interesting that mentors are so beloved when we discuss about how static they are. I feel like a lot of our favorite characters tend to undergo a lot of growth or change because we identify with that. So to see static characters so beloved is another interesting factor. Perhaps it's because we realize that mentors are an inescapable part of most fantasy because we need someone to teach our protagonists, so maybe we just let it go. I don't think that's just it though. I think there are some other things at play. Now, I did try to research this. I did want to find psychology studies to back me up, but there just isn't anything there. No one's studying it, and probably because it's like a hard thing to study. The only thing I could really find is this Ranker article that claims it took its data from a Marshall University study, which was not linked, and nor could I find it to ascertain how they actually got their data. Let me say though, that the conclusions seem dubious at best. So this isn't backed up, it's just my own personal theory, but I think our love of mentors just reflects our desire to have those sorts of meaningful relationships in our real lives. The first one, our love of mentors, may just be that we want to feel guided. Life is difficult, we often may feel confused and directionless, and the idea of someone coming in, giving us direction, specifically caring about us to mentor us, is probably a very universal feeling. These mentors are often ride or die for their young main characters, and that's probably a very appealing nature of them. I also made the mistake of not specifically putting fantasy when I first searched for ideas about mentors, and obviously everything that came up on Google search was all about career-oriented mentors or how to find a mentor in your career field. And I actually found these articles very enlightening in a lot of ways as I read them relating to our fantasy mentors, to just understand how sought after having a mentor is. And in fact, there was even articles pushing back on that, like, try not to give the mentor too mythical of a thing, like you can still have a career without them. So many articles on how to find a mentor. It was just a very interesting thing to see. It further reinforced to me the idea that the mentor is not just important in the hero's journey, but the mentor role is pretty much vital to just everybody's life, whether it was a parent or a friend or another relative that helped develop and influence who you were and helped you find a direction. And this thought was also very interesting to me because I realized a lot of our tropes we can't really apply to the physical world as easily as a mentor. The chosen one, No, I don't think there's a lot of like chosen ones going around in our world personally. Animal companions? Sure-ish. We often have pets that we really love and identify with, but it's not like the talking animal companion that follows us and does quirky things right when we want them. Not that we don't love that, it's just not really reality. The evil Dark Lord? Well, sure. There are definitely a lot of very evil people in the world, but it's just not quite the same. So when you see that, you realize that the mentor trope is probably one of the tropes, other than like found family, which is another very popular trope, that relates the most directly to our real life counterpart. And to be clear, I'm not saying that if you love mentors in fantasy, it means you don't have those kind of people in real life. I have a great relationship with my parents. I've had many mentors, both friends and family, throughout my life, and I think maybe that's another reason I even love these mentor characters. Perhaps they remind me of the own mentors in my own life, or sometimes I may find some of the pages are mentors that I wish I would have had. Either way, I think it's just both very relatable. Now, if you love a mentor but are a little bit tired of the typical old guy mentor, and nothing against these mentors, by the way, those characters are some of my very favorite characters, so I love them personally. But if you want something new, I thought I would offer a few series that maybe have different mentors. I'll list a few of the books I've read, but I'd really love to know in the comments books you've read with unusual mentors, because I don't really feel like I can come up with a ton of them, so I'd be interested to hear what you guys think in the comments. There was a couple of books I immediately thought of, and one of them was actually the entire Wheel of Time series. I actually feel the Wheel of Time is full of mentors against the grain. Sure, you have a few of the wise and old guys, but our first mentor we really meet is Moraine. Moraine is a huge mentor to Rand and is definitely not in that usual stereotypical role. Additionally, I think Nynaeve often acts as a mentor towards the Two Rivers people, as annoying as she can be sometimes, as well as other Aes Sedai like Varen, Sylviana, or Kadsuan. Also in the Cosmere, Kelsier's relationship to Vin is something that I love, and I do feel like is a little unusual in the mentor to mentee in that it is two different genders and they don't form a romance. I find often that it's usually male mentors with male mentees or female mentors with female mentees, or if it's not that way, it ends up in a romance. This is one that's a very father-daughter relationship, and I appreciate that one a lot. Or Jasna from the Stormlight Archive, who I think acts very differently from most mentors that we see, and also is not a static character, but rather a main character that also experiences growth and change. In conclusion, I honestly love a mentor. All the characters I've mentioned in here have been, if not my favorite character of the series, definitely in the top 5 characters. I just love them, even when they're the typical mentor. This is a trope I absolutely love to see. I would love to know if you feel differently. Please let me know in the comments. Tell me your favorite mentors, especially mentors that maybe don't follow the typical mentors that we normally see. And as always, if you like these kind of deep dive videos, please like and subscribe. And if you want to see what I'm currently reading, you can check me out on Instagram at bookborn.reviews. I'll see you next time. Bye.